Hello and welcome to The Curators, a podcast about game projects on Kickstarter. I'm Marcelo, by myself again. I hope Joey is okay. I think I said this joke before. Anyhow, I'll keep going solo until Joey has time to record for us. Oh well, I'm Marcelo, and you can find all the games from this episode as well as plenty of others at our curated page at kickstarter.com/gamerati. You can also find links to each of the projects we talk here in the show notes of the same episode at thecurators.gamerati.com. If you're a backer of any of these projects, we'd love to hear from you. You can email us at thecurators@gamerati.com telling us why you're backing a certain project, and we may feature your email on the recording. All right, I bring two projects today, one RPG and a collection of miniatures, very famous miniatures. Let's start with the RPG, which is shorter to end. Is shorter to end? That sounded weird. Anyhow, it has fewer days in the crowdfunding on Kickstarter. The first one is Aces in Space. This is an RPG by Christian Vogt from Germany. He is also being helped by Harold Eckmuller and Judith in this project. So it's a role-playing game using the Fate Core system that's about a gang of space fighter pilots. It describes itself as half Battlestar Galactica, half Sons of Anarchy, full social media star. So what attracted me to this game is the idea that... Not the idea. The game asks, what if we had an RPG that mixed biker gangs with social media obsession? Most of the game is about dogfights in space. We have here a couple of great illustrations in the Kickstarter. If you're listening to this on the podcast, just take a look at the link in the show notes and see some of the gorgeous, gorgeous illustrations they already have for the game. So most of the game is about dogfights in space, as I said. So they adapted the conflict system from Tachyon Squadron, from another Fate game. They adapted that idea, that mechanic, that set of mechanics, to give their game, to give Aces in Space a more set of complex space battles. But they're also going to have in the book a system for resolving space battles very quickly, very straightforwardly. If you want to play Aces in Space, more focused on narrative instead of space combat, or tactical combat as they describe it. Especially suited if you intend to play online. We all know how online RPG combat can be sometimes a drag, so they're giving you a simpler version if you don't want to focus on space dogfights. Okay, so the game sticks to Fate Core whenever possible, and that means that it will be very familiar to veterans of the system, but they also tweak Fate so it best fits the setting and some of the other stuff that they are trying to do here. For example, social media interactions, from shipping to flame wars. So those social media interactions, any kind of social media interaction that we are familiar with today, they play an important role in Aces in Space. The game has a likes mechanic as a resource for reflecting influence, contacts, and for you to get supplies. In addition to that, Aces in Space has a character aspect called toxicity, to capture the boastful egos of these kinds of fighter pilots. Yeah, the game doesn't shy away from discussing toxic masculinity. It adds it as a mechanic. They need 5,000 euros, or about $5,500 US. They are already over twice that. The project ends on October 21st, so you still have a little over a week. Let me see. This is going to be released on Monday, so you have a week to take a look. But it's pretty straightforward. It's an RPG using Fate Core with this awesome idea of bikers in space. with social media. A lot of stuff here. So for $1, it's the usual. You just say hi to them. For €5, I said dollars. For €5, which is about $6, you get the game as PDF plus the Catapult starter set. I'll take a look at that in a moment. Then for €15, about $17 US, you get the Aces in Space book, access to all stretch goals, and instant access to the Catapult starter set via download. So the difference between the €5 and the €15 is that in the €15 you get all the stretch goals, and the €5 you only get the bare bones PDF. Then for €30 you get the PDF, all the stretch goals, the physical book, and plus shipping. They haven't calculated shipping yet. For €80, which is about $89 US, you get 5 copies of the PDF and 5 copies of the hardcover. And this is maybe for retail. For a €90, you get 4 chopper miniature models. Choppers are the names of the spaceships in the game. You get a set of 24 pocket chips as fate points with their logo, an 80s style poster, the hardcover version of the book, PDF, instant access to the Catapult starter set via download, and of course access to all the stretch goals. Let me take a look at the Catapult starter set. I want to talk about the Catapult starter set with you. So the Catapult starter set, you get it when you pledge at any level. So you get instant access to that. They have more details on the Kickstarter Update 1. So if you pledge at least €1, you get access to that Kickstarter update. But basically, it allows you to quickly dive into Aces in Space as long as you already know a bit of Fate. It contains all necessary information to create a chopper jockey. Jockeys are the people who ride their choppers, which are the spaceships. And it comes with 7 different playbooks, 4 game types, information on character aspects, a list of skills and chopper modification stunts, rules for basic dogfighting, and a guide for the slang used in this universe. So it's kind of a trimmed down version of the game, so you can check it out or start playing before the game gets ready. I talked about playbooks. Playbooks are stuff that you add to your character. It's something that you might have seen it in Powered by the Apocalypse games, such as Blades in the Dark or Uprising. Depending on the description of the playbook of your character, they have certain features that are triggered, and you earn more experience points if you use the playbooks. It's like aspects for your character if you are familiar with Fate. So you get, for example, Fly Pal. Each gang member is a pilot, but only the Fly Pal is born to fly. They are an expert in flight control, stunt maneuvering, space and navigation, and highway routing. Pick this playbook if you want to perform daredevil barrel rolls and crazy loops. Loops. There's the Phantom playbook. Sometimes a job requires a subtle approach. The Phantom is the kind of gang member to carry it out. They are an expert in ECM, tracking, and stealth operations. Pick this playbook if you want to strike from the shadows in hit and run style. There's the influencer. Yeah, style can be as important as substance. Datanet, followers, and social media are a viable resource for the gang, and the influencer is taking care of it. They are an expert for viral content, mission negotiations, and finding gigs on the Datanet. And there's a lot more playbooks. It comes with 7 basic playbooks, but with more stretch goals, we get more of them. So they are, as I said, they are over 200% what they needed, with almost 300 backers, and up until the Monday, October 21st, you can also be one of them. Take a look at this game, Aces in Space, from Christian Vogt. Next game. Actually, it's not a game. It's Bones. You're probably familiar with Bones, the series of awesomely carved and very, I want to say specialized fantasy miniatures for really any kind of game, any kind of board game or tabletop RPG that you want. This is the 5th set of Bones by Reaper. So the Reaper Miniature Bones 5 Escape from Pizza Dungeon. They are going all the way to November 2nd. They needed $30,000 US. They are almost at $2 million US. I'm actually surprised it's not more, because usually bones sell like water in the desert. Almost 15,000, not 1,500, 15,000 backers. There's a lot of stuff here. At the same time, there's not a stuff to tell. They are coming with even more fantasy miniatures. There is a set of kind of Vikings here. They are all very, like, they have very thick beards. They have thick beards. They're set on a piece of rock. They have awesome weapons. The armor is very detailed. That's something that I love about the way Reaper makes their miniatures. They have, I believe they're from Texas, and although it's, and they are highly detailed. Every single tiny, minute detail in the miniatures, it's there. You can drool on a miniature for hours. They have a lot of detail, especially after you paint them. You can, like, bring these tiny details, those tiny difference between apparently similar miniatures into the foreground. And they use a type of resin that allows for this kind of detail, because usually when you have the molds, the plastic or the metal or whatever it is that you're using to create the models, they have to be able to get into all the crevices and nooks and crannies, and it's kind of complicated. And they use a kind of plastic resin that goes into those tiny spaces, creating very detailed miniatures. I think those are the most beautiful miniatures I've ever put my eyes on. So what we have here, they start with a lot of illustrations, and then all the way down you get some description. But it's important here is the models, right? Let's look at this owl bear. Look at every single feather is being made here. It's amazing. I'll look at those later for people who is watching on the YouTubes. So let's see. They are justifying the fact that they are, even being a very successful company, they need the Kickstarter because it's very expensive. They need a lot of money up front to get the initial modes and the designs, and so they are using the Kickstarter for that. They have a history of delivering. I don't believe any Bone series have failed before. I think they are very successful so far. So you can expect, of course, they describe very in a lot of detail the risks and challenges. They sound like those if you live in the United States, you've seen those TV ads for drugs, for medicine, that spend 5 seconds telling you what the medicine does good, and 25 seconds saying how it's gonna kill you. It's kind of like that, but they need to be very clear. It's kind of risky making this kind of hefty Kickstarter, even though they have done this 4 times before at least. And I think they are very trustworthy people. They are very open. They are very clear on everything that's happening. If there are delays, if there are problems, if they have to change some design. They are very upfront about all of this, and this makes me trust them even more. So it starts with, let's go all the way up here for people on YouTube. There's a cartoon here. There's a webcomic. They are tracking how, like, the amazing amount of stretch goes on a fantasy map. Okay, so we start with a bunch of dark elves and kind of Viking warriors, and then there's this core set that there's a no, I don't believe this is a giant miniature. It's just on the foreground. There's more dragons, more monsters, barbarians, and people that are not necessarily adventurers. Like you have merchants, you have scribes. Look at this dragon. There are demons. There are standard animals. There's a bonus 18 set of kobolds, boulderkin. There is a set of 5 elf rangers, all slightly different than one another. I love this on them. The fact that they pick a character and make slightly different, like the same character in different positions, like looking on and shooting, about to shoot, using the sword instead of the bow. There are dreadwolves here, 3 different dreadwolves. No, I think this is the same design. No, 2 different designs, 3 different designs. There's so much here. I don't even know where to start. There is a version for more dragons, siege weapons. There's a version, an add-on for feudal Japan, warriors, Greek gods. We have a centaur, a cyclops, harpy, the Hydra, amazing Hydra design. Some statues, a kind of a golem. Oh, this is the Colossus of Rhodes. Some stuff is still locked. Haha. Wow, I'm in love with this owlbear. You need to go there. You need to go to the Kickstarter and take a look at all the models they have. So the pledge level is like this. So the core set is everything that is in the green box here with the blue silhouette. It has more than 214 miniatures, plus miniatures for spell effects and some extra miniatures. It keeps coming. It keeps being updated because of the stretch goals. It can go way over 140 or 160, I believe, miniatures for $120. It seems that it is expensive, but it's less than $1 per miniature. And you have to choose the area in the world where you are, so you can pledge on that specific pledge level. It's more complicated than I'm making sound here, or maybe it's less complicated than I'm making sound. You should go to the Kickstarter page and take a look. If you're interested, you will find your pledge level. You just need to see which wave. It's for Australia, for South America, for Asia Pacific, for the United States, etc., etc., etc. So yeah, Reaper Miniatures, Bones number 5, Escape from Pizza Dungeon. At least 140 miniatures, but you can get way over 250 here if you get if they get all the stretch goals and you get all the add-ons for yourself. You have until November 2nd. It's a Saturday. They needed $30,000 and they are almost at 2 million. I envy you if you have Reaper miniatures because they're very, very hard to come by in Brazil. I believe that again. I cannot. Oh, Americas. Oh, there's one wave for the United States, one wave for Americas and Europe. You are core set. You are not required to choose a core set. You have the option in the Reaper Pledge Manager to choose different rewards other than a core set, or in addition to your core set. Additional charges will apply if you change or add items on your pledge. You may add options to this level. You are required to set up an account using Reaper Pledge Manager, etc., etc., etc. They expect to start delivering April 2021. I think they might start having stuff done by if Pledge Manager, August 31st, the cutoff date on the Pledge Manager to choose everything after the Kickstarter ends, August 31st, 2020. And then they will start producing it. So this is not something that we will be able to put on your table next year. But if you if you have been part of any Kickstarter ever, you know those things take time. It's expected to start shipping on 2021. But in 1.5 years' time, you have hundreds of very cool miniatures. All right, link in the show notes as always. And I think that's it for me. I have no idea if I talk too much or talk too little in this episode. It's kind of weird of doing these shows by myself. Joey, come back, please. Okay, so let's wrap things up. If you have any questions about the games we featured, or if you'd like us to consider a game on the podcast, feel free to email us at thecurators@gamerati.com, and we will answer you on the podcast. You can also reach myself or Joey on Twitter or Facebook at Gamerati. The show notes for this episode and all our episodes are at thecurators.gamerati.com. You can also find The Curators on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and Spotify, and on YouTube too. Don't forget to check our curated page at kickstarter.com/Gamerati. It's a little thin this week. We didn't have a lot of time to put more games there. But no, maybe after this episode is aired, I'll have added more games there. Joey and Ed are also adding games there all the time. And we are also on YouTube at youtube.com/Gamerati. See you next week.